I've never liked working the night shift at the warehouse. It was the only gig I could snag after moving to the city, so here I am. Most nights, it's just me and the constant hum of machinery echoing in the distance. A bit eerie, but manageable. But there was this one night that completely changed everything. It was around 1 a.m. when I first heard it. This weird, thumping noise coming straight from the basement. It echoed through the empty space, and honestly, it made my skin crawl. At first, I tried to brush it off, thinking, it's just the building settling, right? But then it happened again. A rhythmic thud, followed by a dragging sound. I checked my phone. Everyone else had clocked out hours ago. It was just me, alone. And that's when the little knot of unease in my stomach started tightening. Curiosity got the better of me, though, and I decided to check it out. I mean, it could be a maintenance thing that needed fixing, right? The closer I got to the basement stairs, the louder the noise grew. Every creaky step down made my heart thump louder than any machine. I switched on my flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness. The air down there was cold, musty, and smelled faintly of mildew. "Hello?" I called out, trying to sound braver than I felt. But nothing. Just that relentless thumping. It felt like someone, or worse, something was down there with me. I moved further in, the flashlight's beam dancing across the damp walls. The noise grew even louder now, mixed with what sounded like muffled cries. My heart? Racing like mad. Part of me screamed to turn back, but the thought of someone needing help pushed me forward.
No.
Rounding a corner, I caught movement from the corner of my eye. In the shadows, a figure hunched over, wrapped in darkness. The thumping stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. "Are you okay?" I asked, trying to sound tougher than I felt. The figure turned slowly. It was a young man, his face gaunt, eyes wide with panic. His clothes were tattered and filthy. "Help me," he whispered, desperation dripping from every word. "They won't let me leave." Fear and compassion slammed into me. Who? Who won't let you leave?" I asked. He pointed behind him, and I turned, dread curling in my gut. The shadows shifted, and there it was, something metallic glinting in the darkness, looking suspiciously like a weapon. Panic exploded inside me. I had to get out, or I bolted up the stairs, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear the young man's frantic cries behind me. The thumping returned, reverberating in the silence as I crashed through the basement door and slammed it shut. Breathless, I stood there, my heart hammering like crazy. I didn't know who that guy was or what he was caught up in, but one thing was crystal clear. I had stumbled into something way more dangerous than I'd bargained for. You know, I always figured working the night shift at a gas station would be pretty uneventful. Most of the time, it's just tired travelers coming through, grabbing snacks, and filling up their tanks before hitting the road. But one night, things took a turn I never saw coming. It was just past 11 p.m. when the door chimed. I looked up and saw this guy walk in. He was tall, with messy hair and a heavy coat that looked like it had seen better days. He didn't seem to notice me as he wandered down the aisles, his eyes darting around nervously. I felt this weird knot of unease in my stomach. "Can I help you find something?" I called out, but he didn't answer, just kept pacing the aisles, picking up stuff and putting it right back down. After a few minutes, he came up to the counter and put an energy drink in front of me. "That'll be $2.50, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't meet my eyes, just stared down at the floor. I rang it up and handed him the drink, and that's when I noticed something was off. There was this wild look in his eyes, and his hands were shaking. "Are you okay?" I asked, starting to feel concerned. "Just, tired," he mumbled, his voice barely above a whisper. But I couldn't shake the feeling he was hiding something. As he turned to leave, the door chimed again, and I saw a car pull into the lot. The guy hesitated, glancing back as this woman in her late 20s got out of her car, looking a bit lost. "Ma'am, you might want to be careful," I called out, but she seemed focused on the gas pump. The guy stiffened at my words, and suddenly he was out the door, rushing toward her. "Hey, you don't want to be here," he shouted, panic clear in his voice. I bolted from behind the counter, adrenaline kicking in. "What's going on?" The woman turned, confusion written all over her face. But before I could do anything, the guy grabbed her arm, holding her tight. "You need to leave, now." My heart was pounding as I reached for my phone, ready to call for help. "Hey, let her go!" I shouted, moving closer. The guy's eyes flickered with desperation. "You don't understand, they're coming!" Before I could wrap my head around what he meant, he turned and disappeared into the darkness, leaving the woman standing there, freaked out, but okay. I rushed to her side. "Are you okay?" I asked, keeping an eye on the lot. She nodded, shaken but unharmed. "Who was that?" she asked, her voice shaky. "I don't know, but we need to call the police. Something isn't right." As we dialed, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just stumbled into something way more sinister than I'd expected. It felt like the kind of thing that would catch up with us sooner or later.
You know, working as a childcare worker, I thought I'd seen it all. Temper tantrums, art projects going awry, and the everyday chaos that comes with little ones. But the night shift at the daycare center? That was a whole different story. It was quiet, almost unsettling, and that stillness always set me on edge. One particular night, I was finishing up my paperwork under those buzzing fluorescent lights. It was just me there, which was both comforting and a little daunting. The kids had all gone home hours ago, but their laughter still echoed in my mind. That's when I heard it, a soft giggle coming from the playroom. I froze, my heart racing. All the kids had been picked up, so it had to be my imagination, right? But then it came again, clearer this time. Curiosity got the best of me, so I stood up and walked cautiously toward the playroom. "Hello?" I called out, trying to sound confident. "Is anyone there?" Silence greeted me, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I pushed the door open and was met with an unsettling sight. A single doll sat in the middle of the room, surrounded by a circle of toys. My breath caught in my throat. I stepped inside, searching for any sign of a child, but nothing. Just scattered toys across the floor. Then, there it was again. That soft laughter, this time from the corner. I turned, my heart pounding, and saw a little girl sitting on a mat, totally absorbed in her blocks. "Sweetheart, what are you doing here?" I asked, feeling a wave of relief. "It's way past closing time." She turned slowly, her wide eyes meeting mine. "I'm playing," she said like it was the most natural thing. "Where's your mom?" I asked, kneeling to her level. "She said she'd be back," she replied, eerily calm. "She just went for a little while." A sinking feeling washed over me. It was nearly 10 p.m. Who leaves a child at this hour? "Okay, let's get you ready to go," I said, trying to keep it together. I reached for her hand, but she pulled back a bit. "I want to stay and play," she insisted, her tone shifting from playful to serious. "No, we have to go," I insisted. But standing there, I couldn't shake the sense that something was very wrong. I led her to the exit, but when I glanced back, the room fell silent again. The doll, which had been on the mat, was now lying on the floor facing me. A chill ran down my spine. I hurried outside with the girl still holding my hand, but the empty parking lot filled me with dread. Where was her mother? Why hadn't anyone come for her?
You know those quiet nights when everything feels just a bit off? That was my night shift at the small convenience store on the edge of town. The streets were eerily silent, and our flickering neon sign cast strange shadows across the parking lot. It was supposed to be like any other shift, just me and the occasional night owl picking up snacks. But from the moment I clocked in, I knew something was different. Around midnight, while organizing the snack aisle, I noticed a shadowy figure outside. He was tall, his hood pulled low over his face, hands buried deep in his pockets. A chill ran down my spine, but I brushed it off. Maybe he was just waiting for someone. Then the door swung open, the bell chiming its usual greeting, and he walked in. His eyes scanned the shelves, then locked onto me. "Just browsing," he said, his voice gravelly and low. I nodded, trying to smile, but something about him made my skin crawl. I pretended to focus on my work, stealing glances at him. He moved slowly, deliberately picking up items only to put them back. Finally, he approached the counter with a single candy bar. "How much?" he asked, his tone flat. "$1.50, I replied, ringing it up. When I handed him the change, his gaze lingered on my hands, as if calculating something. "Everything okay?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He shrugged, but the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Just thinking," he muttered. "You're here alone?" "It's just the night shift," I said, forcing a laugh. Nothing unusual. But inside I felt anything but calm. Suddenly the door swung open again and a gust of cold air swept through. My heart raced as I turned toward the entrance. A woman stumbled in, looking disoriented. She wore a thin jacket, her hair a mess. "Are you okay?" I called out. Her eyes darted between me and the man, widening in fear. "Help me!" she gasped, moving closer to the counter. The man's demeanor changed instantly. He took a step back, hands still hidden. "You shouldn't have come here," he warned, now sounding urgent. Panic surged through me. "What's going on?" I demanded, glancing between them. "Please, just call the police," the woman pleaded, her voice trembling. The man turned to leave. I couldn't just watch him go. "Wait!" I shouted, instincts on high alert. I fumbled for my phone, dialing 911 with shaky hands while keeping my eyes on him. He hesitated, glanced back with a look I'll never forget, then bolted out the door. My heart pounded in my chest as the woman clung to me. "He's dangerous," she whispered. Relaying our location to the operator, I watched the man vanish into the night. It dawned on me then. I had narrowly escaped a terrible situation,